We are recording. Welcome to Drunk News. I'm AB. I'm not wearing any goddamn pants. This is a no pants show. So if you're watching, you want to take your pants off, go for it. It's not going to hurt me. Want to welcome you, and we actually have a great show. For once, before I said we have a great show, and then I was like, wait, I actually lied. We don't really have a great show. But this time we really do. I put a lot of work into it. I recruited a guest. Bear with us. We're using a new technology because we have to use the interwebs to talk to our guest. But I'm so excited. I need a drink. Okay. Our guest is a guy named Donovan. He's the first live human guest we've had, and we hope he survives. How are you, Donovan?
How are you, mate? It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
See how many bad accents I could do here over the course of this podcast. You know,
as many as
Irish
possible.
More than anything, but it'll bounce all over the place. It'll go from bad Australian to a little bit Irish to horrible British to I'm trying to avoid Pittsburgh at all possible.
Yeah,
despite being from Pittsburgh.
As you should. Which brings us to our first segment. Let's talk about Pittsburgh. I'm just kidding. But no, bad accents, Blazers. I felt like I had to go. This is weird. It's the angle and the camera. It looks like I have a pretty good pair of tits under there. I mean, it's just your normal average aging male's pectorals, but there's something about I just felt like the blazer with no shirt. It's very slippery rock. I mean, it's
very, very. I was just gonna say it's like your Sonny Crockett Miami Vice vibe, but definitely.
But also with a touch of just autistic leprechaun or something. I don't know.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. Notice how I chose the word autistic because that's the right word now. But let's actually just try to stay a little on track. And I wanted to just real quick get you to just kind of give people the cliff notes about how we know each other. You there, buddy?
Sorry, bud. You broke up on that last part.
Oh, yeah. We got tech issues. That's what that happens. Just wanted you to give kind of the cliff notes, the bird's eye view of how we know each other before we get really deep into things.
Well, I mean, we are before a pretty wide audience here. I don't know how deep you want to go down the rabbit hole right off the bat.
all the rabbits and all the holes.
All right. Well, the Cliff Note version, I will say, is we met about 20 years ago at Slippery Rock when you moved into our dorm. And I think you and our first interaction was at an off-campus party. And obviously we were having some drinks. I know you had a pretty
doesn't sound like me.
Eventful night, you know. I don't know if it was a regretful night, but I know it was an eventful night. You definitely made.
Oh,
you know where I'm going with this, don't you?
I totally forgot about that. No. Okay, new segment.
On the group, I know that for a fact.
New segment, brutal truth. So. What is the appropriate PC word for? She was skinny challenged, I think was the word.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, it was funny about that because that was actually at the Crow House, Chuck's.
Yes.
And only in Slippery Rock do we have these underground fraternities where they brand each other and shit like that.
It's luck would have it. I've literally seen Chuck twice within the last week, and that's the most I've seen him probably in about the last 8 years. But it's great that everything's coming back around full circle with all of us. It's a real positive vibe I'm getting. So crack open my Guinness if that's okay.
Yeah, get in there. Because we are going to get to that, but I've sort of already begun. I don't need to wait for my viewers. They can drink whenever they want. But yeah, I know. Okay, so just to round out that story, we're in the Crow House. I'm in the basement. I think I've had quite a few beverages, and the thing I remember about that night was okay, here's the ending. I ended up in a truck bed making out with that girl. But
Right.
yeah, in a truck
I
bed.
forgot about the truck bed. That's a huge detail to the story.
It's an important detail because it was uncomfortable. I remember that. But also I was uncomfortable not because of how uncomfortable a truck bed is to make out in, but I was also like, whose truck is this? Like, I was really worried. I was like, are they gonna come shoot me? Like, what, like you come up upon somebody making out with a girl who's not particularly attractive or skinny, and you're like, who is this person in my truck? So I was really, but I think it was maybe the truck we came in. I think maybe
20 years ago, I can't remember what I did 20 seconds ago sometime. So I'm just going to roll with it and say, yeah.
Apparently, I blame the fraternity, but apparently they got me drunk enough that I just met a girl and I was like, let's go in this truck bed just because it's there and you're there. And I have no standards, clearly. But I remember the thing I wanted to say was I remember the moment in the basement where she was like dancing on me. I've never been much of a dancer. Like, I really just don't. I don't understand it. I don't know how it works. It's like
I go as far as a two-step, man. I mean, we should be able to dance some jigs, but it's just not in our DNA.
I think my rhythm is like a different kind of rhythm. It's like I like writing and poetry and song, like lyrical songs. I'm not into like beat. I don't understand the beat. I'm like,
that's your creative intellect. No, I love music, but I couldn't play an instrument or sing a song to save my life. I think
the hardest thing I did in my life was when I forced myself to play bass guitar on Rock Band.
Okay.
And I am so completely unrhythmic that it was so hard for me, and I got really good at it. And I was to the point where I was like taking a lot of pride in my Rock Band bass guitar skills. And that's when I just decided it was time to either get a real guitar or just quit altogether.
And what'd you wind up doing?
I got a real guitar and quit altogether. Yeah, it's in the closet somewhere.
The moment's passed.
The moment is over. But also, it was the wrong guitar. Somebody got me a rhythm guitar and not a bass guitar. Like, I wanted a bass guitar because I prided myself on the fact that I had learned to keep the beat.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to showcase that, because if you can't dance, the next best thing is to pull out a guitar and just be like, look, babe, I don't dance. I just play this thing.
Nope. Chances are you'll probably get more women that way by playing that bass than being able to dance.
Exactly. And when it comes to women, so I've heard, it's all about keeping the rhythm. It's not about doing backflips or doing the robot or something. But anyway, let's get.
That's another podcast.
That's another podcast altogether. But to round out that story, I just remember that she's like, you look so stupid because you're the only one not dancing. And I'm like, I feel like everyone else here looks stupid and I'm just standing in place, which is normal. Like, you guys are all gyrating and here I am just standing here. And you think I'm weird? I'm like, that's weird to me. And then she did something. It was some kind of Jedi mind trick, because I was like, I do not want to make out with you. And she was like, this is the droid you're looking for. And I was like, oh, I do want to make out with you suddenly. It was amazing, actually. I was like, wow, that was impressive. Now I'm in a truck bed. Okay, so that's the cliff notes about how we met. We got to sail on down the line a little bit here. So since you're the first guest, I've been wanting to do this thing because ideally I want people to watch the show and like drink along and have fun and stuff. So I want you to, for the very first time on Drunk News, to pick a word of the day for me.
Okay.
Anything you want. I'm trying to stay away from the big seven, like, George Carlin can't say that on TV type of thing. But anything else? Anything else?
Okay, well, let's go with something classy, a bit Latinish, if you will. Rolls off the tongue nicely. How about gravitas? Gravitas. You say tomato. I say gravitas. It is.
I like gravitas. Yeah.
All right.
Some people might say that I have some gravitas at frat parties when I'm drunk, but
they don't know you the way I do.
No, they don't. So I encourage anyone who's watching, grab a beer. We're going to try to work the word gravitas into our discussion as many times as we possibly can. And feel free to take a little sip when we do. We'll make it a drinking game. So that's the word of the day. Moving on from there, I want to mention some sponsors before we get in this. So we got unofficial sponsors, and then we got official sponsors. So unofficial sponsors are just things that I like, that I have around me, one of which is Bold Rock Cider. Have you ever had Bold Rock, Donovan?
I have not, but that looks like that would be right out of our world.
It's appropriate. First of all, it's The Rock. For those that don't know, we went to Slippery Rock University, which people call The Rock. And so it's Bold Rock, but it's also –
it doesn't have shit on us.
Yeah. So it's also called it's also from Virginia. It's a Virginia cider. So I am a person from Virginia. And so I like Virginia things. I try to be local or whatever that is. We've also got a couple other things. I've got some Guinness here, which we're going to use to make my drink in a second, my official drink. I've got a little bit of JMO, a little Jameson here. I've got like the ultimate Batman drunk utility belt right now. I'm just pulling things out of everywhere.
You're Irish, man.
Yes. So, of course, there's also Intox Detox. Take tonight for a better tomorrow. Visit intox-detox.com. We've got some Super Bowl deals going on, which are bundles where you can get like multiple boxes for really cheap so you can throw a party and everybody can have a lot of fun and not feel terrible on Super Bowl Monday, which, Donovan, did you know that statistically a lot of people get DUIs on Super Bowl Monday morning?
Really?
Yeah, actually, I learned that there, which is it's a little bit of it's a tricky thing to talk about because obviously our product helps your liver, helps you not to feel so bad, but it doesn't sober you up. It's not going to help you drive home. So don't drive drunk, obviously. But yeah, a lot of people get DUIs on Monday morning driving to work because they don't realize that they're still drunk.
Wow. Yeah, you would think the travel home Sunday night would be, but you think about it though, it makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's also the other thing. I was actually talking about this with a friend when I saw that stat that like New Year's Day, nobody goes anywhere. So it's like, that doesn't happen. Super Bowl Monday is like everybody's got to go to work. So, kind of makes sense. Anyway, so yeah, you can throw a Super Bowl party, stock up on Intox Detox. We got great deals. Moving along, I got my disclaimer, then we're going to make a drink, and then we're really going to get into some shit. The disclaimer is, as always, think for yourself, drink for yourself. I don't advocate that anybody drink or not drink or think the way I think or like what I like. Just do what you want to do, and I'm fine with it. Just don't hurt anybody and mind your business and stay out of my way. Those are my rules. What do you think about that, Donovan? What are you have a disclaimer you want to impart?
AB, I'll just kind of add like a subheading to that. I think that's why, quite honestly, you've been one of my best friends over the last 20 years because our minds think a lot alike. And I'll just leave it at that.
I agree. I mean, I'm big about being honest. I try my best not to like harm others or like whatever, create drama for anybody. But it's like, if people bring stuff to me, I'm like, look, you're giving me no choice. So do your own thing. And if you don't like me, turn it off right now. If you do like me, let's have a drink. So I'm going to make a drink. So my drink, Donovan, is I've got this glass, which I love. It's I think you would like this one. It's Guinness for.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah. So I love it because it's got the old man carrying the cart with the horse in the back of it.
That's awesome.
Which is pretty awesome. Guinness has always had that marketing that's been like really cool. Oh, because you're an active part of the show, you're going to be part of my drink, Donovan, because what I'm making is a snake bite, and my snake bite is different than other people's. It's like there's a European one and there's American one. Like there's a snake bite shot,
Okay.
I'm not doing that. I'm doing the one where you mix cider and Guinness. So,
Okay.
but I got the variety pack of Bold Rock cider. So I need you to pick which cider I'm going to mix with the Guinness. Sound good?
Oh, the flavor?
Yeah. So I got peach. I got peach. No, no. I got Granny Smith. I got rosé. No. And I've got the IPA, which is the kind of cool. It's like hoppy apple cider. It's like got hops in it.
Okay.
So it's up to you. You pick my poison.
Yeah, I would say the apple sounds like it would go nicely with that. I mean,
just the plain apple.
Yeah, give it a shot. But
all right,
I don't think the peach would go well with that either.
Yeah, I was a little bit scared of I could see drinking it by itself. Okay, so we got this Granny Smith, which is a nice light cider.
Yeah.
And that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, I like the positivity. Yeah, let's do it.
Do it.
You're already not wearing.
Don't waste any time.
You're not wearing a shirt or pants. Just do it.
Oh shit! I forgot to take my pants off.
Oh Jesus!
I was like so excited. Well, I just come running in the door with everything right before we got on here.
All right. Well, I forgive you.
For public or indecent exposure.
I forgive you, but for the viewers at home, those of you who haven't taken your pants off, you probably should. Just let it go. Anyway, so the thing is, what's really cool about Snake Bites is at the bar. There's a bar, cool Irish bar, which I hope you come down sometime and we'll go. It's called J. Bryan's Tap Room, and I worked there for a little bit. I'm not working there anymore, but they make Snake Bites, and when you do it, like the good professionals, they make it so it's like all the ciders on the bottom and they float the Guinness on top. It looks really cool. Mine's not going to look like that because I don't have the equipment. You need like a tap system to like pour it over the back of a spoon. We're not messing. That's too technical for me. I'm just gonna pour it, and this is happening. And I think I got to do about half, and then do the Guinness. Little Guinness draft. I like these white bottles, not because I'm a white supremacist. I like the white bottles because they're just different and cool. I just feel like you got to be really clear these days, you know? People, they read too much into things, you know? And I didn't necessarily like or dislike the brown bottles. I'm just like, whatever bottle you want to give me my favorite beer in, just give it to me. I don't care. Like, what's the color matter? Now they're going to say I'm protesting too much. Methinks he does protest too much, right? So I am. So I've confirmed that I am. See how that comes out when you do it at home? It looks shitty. But that's okay, because it still tastes the same. All right, so that's my drink, and you got some Guinness, I think.
I do. I mean, I went with the classic.
Can't go wrong.
You know me being old school. As long as it tastes like Guinness, no complaints.
Agreed there. So I wanted to let you do the honors and read the toast, and we'll do a little toast. Let me remember to take my Intox Detox, because that's part of what I do. It's in the outline, so I have to do it. And I'm gonna take that with my cider. All right. So liver synchronized. Go ahead and we'll toast it up.
All right, a toast. And I quote, "I would rather be with the people in this room than with the finest people I know."
Cheers.
Cheers.
And the reason that made me laugh is it made me think of a Slippery Rock party that we probably hosted.
Which one?
Any of them. You know, we were joking before about how our parties were like testing grounds for weak souls, you know, like
yes.
Like physically, emotionally, you know, liver function, everything. It was just a test of like, it's like the gauntlet, you know, like just
reenacting John Belushi posters.
all of these things and more. It's funny because
self credit for that one.
I made a note that I wanted to talk about this. Intox Detox has a competitor called Thrive, and one of their big things is I'm not going to talk too much crap, but they market themselves because they're Princeton graduates, and I'm like, are you kidding me? A Princeton graduate? How long would he last at a Slippery Rock party? I mean, seriously.
Not long. And it's not being arrogant, you know. I mean, one of my favorite sayings is, don't mistake my confidence for cockiness. I mean, we buried some elite fraternities and probably full-blown alcoholics at that point. Who knows if they're still alive at this point when they would come to our place.
We had a way of we made an impression. Let's put it that way.
I mean, I don't think anybody can lay claim to the beer pong table that we all collaborated on. What that thing probably had to weigh over 200 pounds. I mean, that was the signature of art right there, man.
The 200 pounds was just the beer it soaked up. Then there was the weight of the actual wood. And so what we made was we made this table that had it was made of beer caps. The whole middle of it had like beer caps just like grouted into it, and then it had the ends where you put your cups. It wasn't pretty. I mean, it was like a work of art in like the sense of like Picasso or Salvador Dali, because it saw some shit, not because it was beautiful. I mean, it started beautiful, but it ended pretty pretty tragic looking, and but yet in the way that, like, you know, like old actors that have like been through it, like Jack, right, or De Niro. It's just like these guys are like every line on their face they earned in some movie. You know, it's just like that was our beer pong table.
Absolutely, that's a perfect way to put it.
So because I want to move on, we got our drink. Everybody, you know, drink up with Gravitas if you can. Have some Gravitas in everything you do. But I want to do a new segment which is inspired by both our, for those that don't know, Slippery Rock University is in Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania. Shocker. Apparently, somebody slipped on a rock at one point, and our alma mater was born. And it tells you a lot about. There's not a lot of Stephen Hawkings coming out of Slippery Rock. Okay, I always like to count myself like one of the smartest people in the dumb room, so maybe that's why I love Slippery Rock so much. But anyway, Slippery Rock is near Pittsburgh, and I want to talk about Pittsburgh. So this is Drunk News Talks Pittsburgh, a thing that maybe Donovan knows a little bit about. So there's a magnificent thing out of Pittsburgh called Pittsburghese. And I don't want to call you out or throw you under the bus, but teach us an expression in Pittsburghese.
Like I said earlier, I mean, I want to try and avoid that accent at all costs, but it can't help but escape you. So probably one of the most popular ones is if you refer to somebody, you guys, or are you going somewhere, plural. It's yins. Are yins going out tonight? Or yins going, you know, we don't say downtown, we say downtown. One of the popular spots to frequent and drink and have a good time in the city is South Side, but it's South Side. So it has this, it's not New England, it's not Midwestern, it's not New York, it's not Chicago, it's definitely not West Virginia, but it just has like this hybrid of an accent that's been unique and come to be known as its own for however long this place has been around.
The reason I bring it up is definitely not to make fun. I'm actually fascinated by the different sort of sounds of our country, and you know how, because in Europe it's like, you know, they're all speaking different languages, but here we're speaking the same language. We just have a very unique way of doing it wherever you go. And even Virginia, I mean, being from Washington D.C. area, one of the things about us is we try to hide our accents too. We don't want to be Southern. We don't want to be Pennsylvanian. We want to be kind of neutral, and I think that's a very, very, very Virginian thing. But you go down in Southern Virginia and it's y'all, and it's, it's just Southern Virginia is a lot like North Carolina and the South and West Virginia. And then you come to Northern Virginia and it's all these pretentious fucks like me. They're just like, no, we're not Southern. What do you mean Southern? We're not Southern. And then we have a couple beers and we're like, y'all want to get some beer and hot dogs? And hey, turn the race on. We all secretly in our back pocket, we're like, who's winning the race? No, I'm not into NASCAR, but I'm just curious. My uncle watches it, it's just something to drink to, no big deal. Anyway, so
that's what's weird about this city is you could go in any direction, 10, 15 minutes, like I said, outside of city limits, or this will even extend as far as the suburbs. You go beyond the suburbs of Pittsburgh in any direction, and you'll swear you have, just similar to what you're talking about. You could go and head north, and it's like, why is everybody listening to country? You could go south, and like you said, you'll start to hear y'all, and it's just this world is, Pittsburgh and the township I live in particularly, which borders the city. It's called McKees Rocks. So there's another little Irish thing to throw out there to you.
I got a funny thing about that, but I'll say it.
Well, I mean, like I said, though, it's still very territorial and still very specific in its nature. But like I said, you leave that area. Basically, what I wanted to make my point is between McKees Rocks and Pittsburgh, having grown up and lived here my whole life and seen the world, and then still compare this place to everywhere else, this is pretty much, the center of the universe or the center threshold of hell. Depends on your point of view. Depends on who you are.
Yeah, and going back, I really am fascinated by dialects and the way that people talk in America. And I've got people from New York and New Jersey, and my uncles are from Boston, and I know a lot of people in the South, and I know a lot of people on the West Coast. And you can't argue that it's like people, they talk differently everywhere you go. And yet, as many places as I've been, Pittsburgh is very unique for such a small town. They're a lot like Ireland, okay? So they say, Ireland's a nation of the Republic is 4.4 million people, I believe. And like half of them are in Dublin. So it's very sparsely populated. It's a little tiny country. And yet 60% of Americans claim Irish heritage, which is, that's basically like,
staggering.
Well, yeah, that's over 300 million people. So, you think, okay, 60% of 100 million would be 60 million. So 60 times 3, 180 million people were basically impregnated or created by 4 million people. Like, they need to get on that birth control or something. But they've been out there doing the Lord's work, just getting around town. But but I would say Pittsburgh is the same. The reason I brought that up is because there are more Steeler bars in this country than there are any other bar or any other type of NFL bar. And that's a true fact, right? I believe that's true.
Yeah. And same thing. The owners, last name's Rooney. The old man that just passed away a couple of years ago, he was an ambassador to Ireland for a number of years. So there's a lot of deep Irish roots running through here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I know that. I mean, okay, so let's just, this is just like a side note, but so your last name is Donovan. You're Irish. Let's talk about that. I mean, I know that that's something that you kind of dig into a little bit.
Well, I mean, basically, to quote my uncle that passed away a couple of years ago, and we might touch base more even on it later on in the cast, but one of his famous sayings to me, I guess I understand, our family heritage, or just that, there's a key word I want to use, is like having pride in, one's family. Is he would always tell me that. He would say, remember, no matter what, you're a Donovan. And he was by far the patriarch in the family in terms of he had dual Irish citizenship. He went over there multiple times, researched the family tree. In fact, I'm still in the process of they live down in North Carolina, Murphy, North Carolina, of all places. And I'm still going back and forth with my aunt to try and basically take over what he was doing in terms of family tree history, research, and things like that. So it was just something that was instilled in me personally very, very early on in life to just, have pride in your name and your family. And I mean, I'm not going to break it out here, but you've seen my tattoo. I mean, my tattoo, the first tattoo I ever got, is the centerpiece of the Donovan family crest.
Yeah, so you have like a crest on your ankle, I think?
Yeah, and the inside part of my ankle. Well, I'm not one of those types like, let's get a nice little dolphin and put it jumping out of the small of my back and, the tramp stamp and all that shit. That was something that we had in our home. And like I said, just that inspiration of my uncle and my dad and my grandpa. That was very, very early on instilled in me that I knew one day when I would get a tattoo, that had to be the first one. But it wasn't for the world to see. Like I said, there's that pride factor coming back in again. It was still very personal and still very like within our clan. That was my stamp.
Absolutely, and for those that don't know about me, that my mom's father was born in Ireland, and he had 10 brothers and sisters, very Irish Catholic. I mean, he had maybe a fourth or fifth grade education. He trained horses. He came over to the U.S. I mean, that's how I'm here. He literally, that story about the 4 million coming in and impregnating however many hundreds of million, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm, I mean, that's how I got here. And, it took a generation, but so I'm actually eligible for Irish citizenship because my grandfather, you have to have a grandparent that was born native.
Right.
So if you're a couple of generations removed, you're not eligible, but I actually am. And because I'm lazy as shit, I haven't done it. And, but ultimately for me, it's always been a thing too. And, we have all these cousins because for God's sake, the man had 10 brothers and sisters. So we have cousins coming out the wherever, like
right.
Barney Stone. But like, it's so we've recently reconnected with all them and it is a source of pride for me. But I actually recently got a tattoo. So, okay, my last name is Bennett, okay, which my dad's side is a big mutt mix of stuff, like a lot of Americans. Probably some German, Irish, Scottish. They're farm people from West Virginia and Kentucky. And then my mom's side is like very recently in the last 3 generations, both of her parents are Irish. And so I got that kind of blend. So I ended up with this last name Bennett, which does exist in Ireland, but the Bennetts in Ireland were loyal to the king. So like, it's not a cool last name to have. But in Ireland, it's like Bennett. It's like, so they actually made me get a tramp stamp with the king's foot. Just like, yeah, they actually still do that. So
you must have a literal foot up your ass.
Yeah, exactly. They force you. That's totally a joke. I don't have any tattoos. But yeah, no, it's kind of funny because, my family names are Quinn and Scanlon and there's a couple other ones, but Quinn and Scanlon are the big ones. Oh, Moran are my cousins. Moran's very Irish. There's a bunch, but anyway, yeah, I mean, it's a source of pride for me. It's also, it is what it is. I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't Irish, and it's just like, you are who you are, and you should really embrace that. But I want to move down a little bit and blow through some of this other stuff. I got something really funny I want to tell you. So I'm kind of going to skip out some of this stuff, but I do want you to talk about number one, what is the Pittsburgh E's pronunciation of the NFL team from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania?
The Pittsburgh E's pronunciation is Stillers.
Yeah, I've always loved that. It just makes me happy to hear it. I mean, whether it's like Marshall or some of our friends back at City Rock, it's like Stillers. I'm like,
Well, I mean, there's, like I said, the there's two types in my mind of Pittsburghers. There's basically your educated Pittsburgher, which I pretty much try to consider myself, because some people tend to go overboard with it. There's anybody that will doing anything. It's just thrown in your face, and it just gets to be a little bit overbearing. And then there's like the Yinzers. So if anytime you go and watch a Steeler game, you're either going to have and they're all educated. That's the thing. But you have those two factions primarily. It's like where you have a Steeler fan who's watching a game and they're supporting their team just like anybody else would for any other sports club. And then you have the Yinzers or Steeler Nation, which is, if we don't win the Super Bowl every year, everybody needs thrown to the coals,
Speaking of which, and I gotta have this. This is mandated because I bolded it and underlined it. That means it's serious. Describe the Pittsburgh Steelers season in 2 words this year?
Very easy. Drama filled.
Yeah, I agree. You guys said all that contract nonsense, and just I don't know how you can really have a successful team when all your millionaire babies are just crying and pouting the whole time.
Yep. No, they're becoming like the Dallas Cowboys of this era, minus the
don't say it. No. No. For those who don't know, I'm one of these. I don't know if you can see that. That's a Redskin thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
So I'm one of those. So there's nothing worse than a cowboy. I mean, there's absolutely nothing worse. I just love the Tony Romo memes that kill me, man. All the, it's like, oh geez, I don't even want to go to some of them, but I loved how the one I reposted recently was really funny. It was an Onion one, which I love the Onion stuff. And Onion was like, it was a picture of Tony Romo and he's smiling, and it's like, I finally figured out how to analyze a defense. I wish I had figured that out while I was still playing football.
Yeah, really.
There she is. Yes.
Hi, how are you?
This is long.
I am full of spaghetti and meatballs.
Oh my God. That's
fundraiser. I was like, I did one last night and I did one today. But I was nice enough. I brought Son home one of his favorites.
Oh, nice.
Pumpkin roll.
Can you just like push that through the screen over this way, because nice.
Not even out of the bag yet.
No.
Awesome.
But this is like this is my nickname. My nickname for her is Dorothy Mantooth because she's my saint.
Absolutely. I've heard a lot about her.
A little crooked, but yeah. So.
Yeah, we're having a little technical difficulty, but that's okay.
Nice background here. No,
yeah.
I mean yours is nice too. Don't get me wrong. But,
I mean, look, it's not a competition. We're all winners here.
I like the wine rack. I like that it's filled.
Yeah,
I like that
thank you.
Filled.
That's actually
It's probably full of empty bottles.
Well, I'm working on it.
Well, let me know if you need some help.
I will, for certain. Absolutely.
Where's he live?
You're down in Virginia now, right?
I'm in Virginia, yeah, Northern Virginia.
Okay.
Yep.
Road trip.
Well, I know you moved from one place in Virginia to another. You moved closer to Maryland or further from Maryland? I couldn't remember.
I'm pretty close to Maryland right now. I'm about 20 minutes from Maryland.
What part of Virginia are you in?
It's a town called Leesburg, Virginia.
Oh, I know. I've been through Leesburg.
Yeah, a lot of people go through. Yeah, it's because 15 goes through here, which comes down from Pennsylvania and just southern parts. So yeah.
Yeah, my old boss lives down in Harrisonburg.
Oh yeah.
In the Shenandoah.
That's where that's the one that Virginians get confused with Harrisburg.
Yeah.
And it's actually where JMU, James Madison University, is.
Okay. Yeah. My old boss from here in Pittsburgh, he lives there, and he would commute every weekend from Virginia to Pittsburgh. Of course, job was good. Yeah, the job was that good. He was head of our engineering department, so yeah, it was that good.
That is a long ride.
Yeah. Well, no, he would fly. I booked his flights every weekend.
Oh.
Yeah. A little puddle jumper, but at least he got him home and he got him back here. So.
Gotcha.
Can't complain. All right, I'm going to get comfortable.
Okay, Mom.
And then my face is going down. I can't go anymore for this weekend.
She just came back from Cancun yesterday. She was in Cancun for a week, literally hopped out of the van, jumped in the shower. She was off to one fundraiser. She's nonstop.
Yeah. It's
now
like,
you know where I get my personality.
I'll tell you what. And then this week I'm gonna start working on our trip to Seattle. We're going to Seattle in July.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's where my cousins are out that way on the Donovan side. So
gotcha.
And I have never been.
Sure, we'll have more stories.
And
for you.
he's been there several times, and I have never been. I told him if he wants to go, he has to take me.
It's fair.
Absolutely, it's a fair deal.
I like that.
Okay, so
it's nice to see you.
Oh, you too. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
I have something really funny for you. Okay, do you know what Tom Brady's full name is? It's outstanding. You can't make it up. You can't make this stuff up.
Tom Ass Brady.
Okay, first of all, let's be clear that I know Pittsburgh is not a fan of New England or Tom Brady, right? Let's be accurate about that.
I'm not gonna lie. I got great respect for him. He's hated around here like the way Sidney Crosby is hated everywhere else in the NHL. So,
okay, well, the man has almost as many names in his full name as he has Super Bowl rings. So, this is like my follow-up research. This is actually his real name. Okay, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
His name is Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
Wow.
Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. That's almost like Goodwill Hunting when he has the brothers that he makes up, and he's like Danny, Ricky, Marky, Terry, something, Joey, and Brian. You know, like what the hell is going on here? Why does that
he
mean that?
must have a couple confirmation names in there.
He's got 4 first names: Thomas Edward Patrick Brady, and then just for the hell of it, he's a junior. Does that mean his dad was Thomas Edward Patrick Brady the first? That is absolutely ridiculous. That is the most ridiculous name I've ever heard. I don't know why this is not a headline. Like, everybody should know this information. It's astoundingly weird. But, yeah, that was something I stumbled upon when we were Super Bowl prediction before we move on?
Man, we were talking about this at work last night, too, and I've just come to learn. Until you see otherwise, you know, the realistic pick is the Patriots. Now, I mean, I got a pull for the Rams because there's a local Pittsburgh kid that plays in a team, and he actually came into work. He actually came into the bar I worked at about 2 4th of Julys ago, and he was super nice friends. They took off, and I think they did head to South Side after they visited our place in Shady Side that night, and that's Aaron Donald. So I'm sure, I mean, he's literally probably the best fence player in the league right now. So there's that. I'm rooting for him, and it would be cool to see the Rams win. You know, that's where your heart's at. But
right.
you gotta go. You gotta go Brady and the Patriots until. In fact, there's another Gronkowski. Gronkowski went to a local high school here in Pittsburgh for a year. He went to Woodland Hills. He went to Woody High, and believe it or not, his dad owns a chain of fitness equipment stores. They're based out of Syracuse, but there's about 3 or 4 of them here in the Pittsburgh area, and it's called G&G Fitness. And I actually worked for them for a little over a year right after I graduated from Slippery Rock. And I would have to take these trips to load up equipment from our store down here to the one up in Buffalo. So when I would pull in with the truck, everybody else in the warehouse would just go ahead and hang out and chill, and we'll let you know. And the truck's packed up, and you could head back to Pittsburgh. I mean, it was a full 12, 13-hour day. By the time drove up, they packed up, and you headed back, and then you had to unload, you know, long story short, which is, you know, already turning into an epic long podcast it is, I'm sure, for you. But Gronkowski was working for his dad. And so I would say meet him or talk to him or hang out with him, but you knew who he was. And here he already was this, you know, 13, 14-year-old, just man-child, you know, carrying weight equipment around and tossing on a truck. And there you go. So there's –
I could just see him like, you like Baby Huey or like Bam Bam, just like it's like where do you want this leg press sled?
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, here.
Yeah.
And he sets it like on top of a truck or something, and it smashes.
Remember that old movie Little Giants from way back in the day with Rick Moranis?
Oh no, I don't. No.
If you look that up, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a kid that plays linebacker on the Little Giants, and when you first meet him in the movie, he's walking down the ramp of a moving truck. Same thing, probably like 10, 12 years old, carrying a refrigerator on his back, and the old man is like, "Drop dog, give me 20." You'll see it. You'll see
Gotcha.
It. It's a cool thing to refer to.
That's Gronkowski. Yeah, I have to agree with you on the Super Bowl prediction. Part of me is always like, I respect Brady, but I don't want them to win because I know a lot of it's not him or the team. It's the fans that I'm just like, I don't want them to get the satisfaction. But
right.
I think that you're absolutely right that's the way it's going to go. And, then it's really like, what do you want? The pretentious New Englanders or the pretentious Los Angeles? Like, who do you want to win the damn thing? And either way, I just feel like all the rest of us that maybe have not seen the best year of football are just kind of like, waiting for the next year, So anyway, I want to move on to the next.
Let's be specific too, AB. Let's be specific. We're talking about American football. We're not talking about your sport, which is real world. That's football.
That's true. I don't even want to go there because, that's like a whole
other podcast. That's volume 3.
That's like a 4-hour. No, that's like an 8-part. What's his name?
Documentary.
Yeah, what's his name that does all the documentaries? Ken Burns. It's like an 8-part Ken Burns. When I was 5 and I played on my first soccer team. No, we don't even need to go there. But I do want to go on to the segment that a lot of people like that I really like, and it's called Sobering Facts. And that is really fun to do. So, Donovan, if you'd like to do it, I think you should.
You want me to just repeat what you said?
Oh, yeah. Just do a little like sobering.
Oh, okay. Wait.
Facts.
Sobering. Facts.
You've got it. And you got to change it up sometimes. You can't let them know where you're going with it. Like, that's why I did the open chest blazer. I don't want you to know where I'm going. You think I'm going to zig and I'm zigzagging all over your face. You don't know what I'm doing. That's why the 50 people that watch this keep watching because they don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like Howard Stern, but shorter with a lot less talent and not a good voice for radio. So
and a better looking nose.
Well, that's for sure. There's no doubt about that. So that's one thing I got going for me. Okay, so number 1, sobering fact, and these are real facts, so this is real research, not a joke. Donovan, did you know that claims of virgin births in the U.S. are about 1%? So it's not enough just to know this fact. You got to dig in a little bit. So I dug into the research, and in 2017, there were 3.86 million births in that year. And so 1% were virgin births, supposedly. So that means that God banged 38,600 chicks that year. It's pretty impressive.
How's that possible? Do go on, because now you have me hooked.
Well, I mean, I'm one part jealous, but I also think you could do better. I mean, like, is that all he can do? I mean, come on.
That's true. He is God. Yeah.
He created the world in 7 days. On the 8th day, you rested. I mean, come on. I think you got at least 100,000 in you, right? I mean, 38,600? He didn't even finish off a round number. He could have just gone to 40,000 and been like, it's a round number. Or it could have been funny about it, 40,001. That would have been funny. But no, 38,600. Santa Claus, who is not a god, he's a saint. He pleases billions of men, women, and Christian children in one night. Literally billions. I looked it up. It's like 2 billion. There's like 2.4 billion Christians in the world. Of course, he's not pleasing them sexually. Let's make that clear, right? That's not what's happening. but he's bringing them gifts and whatever. Some people would say a child is a gift. I agree with that.
Totally.
But I just don't think God is he's not up to snuff in the bedroom anymore. You know? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, Hugh Hefner came up there last year, a couple years ago, right? Maybe he should go get some advice from Hef up there now.
I mean, I think it would help. Sobering fact number 2, and this absolutely blows my mind. 1/3 of Japanese adults are virgins. How is that even possible?
I think that's a misleading statistic. That's what they want you to believe.
I mean, sounds like I want to go to Japan. I'm just saying. Begs the question, are they all liars like American teenagers pretending that they're virgins? Or are they all just having sex with big life-sized anime pillows?
I might have to agree with you on that. I mean, they are the most technologically inclined country in the world, so
you'd think they would come up with a better solution than a big pillow with a cartoon character on it, right? I mean, like, since they're all virgins, I mean, what are they doing? You can't. Sometimes you just can't hold it in. You know, you got to do something with it. And
cross-reference it or dig deeper a little bit more in your research. I mean, see what the STD rates are like over there compared to here. Maybe that's why.
And
they believe in safe sex.
And they're a population in decline, which apparently God is impregnating all these American women, and he's not impregnating any Japanese women. That's very weird to me because, you know, most old white men are into Asian chicks, you know? I mean, it's just a thing. Yeah. It's a thing, right? You like what you aren't, right? Japanese like people with blue eyes because they don't have those there. And, you know, it's weird to me. I find it weird. This is not going the way I thought it would. That's why it's hard to write segments. Number 3, this is actually really, really funny. A single sperm contains 37.5 MB of DNA information, which means one ejaculation represents a data transfer of 15,875 GB. That's equivalent to the combined capacity of 62 MacBook Pro laptops.
That's staggering.
I mean, did you realize that you have that much going on down there? I mean, that is a lot of processing power that we are wasting every single day. I mean, literally. It's just absolutely astounding. Interesting note, though, as I like to connect facts, the most powerful supercomputer to date has a registered computing power of 122.3 pflops. Pflops.
What's a pflop?
I have no goddamn idea. The first thing, you know what it made me think of when I read it? I was like, 1.21 gigawatts, like right away. It's just like something like, hey, we need something for this movie to make sense, and it's like, just make up a thing, you know. And I'm sure gigawatt is a really real thing, but it's just somebody like me looked up, what does a bolt of lightning do? 1.21 gigawatts. And Christopher Lloyd is such an amazing actor that he's just like, 1.21 gigawatts. Incredible. It's irresistible, so I think you should say 1.21 gigawatts.
1.21 gigawatts.
That was good. That was better than mine. Speaking of gigawatts, I think that electricity is to electronics as coffee is to people. Ingesting caffeine actually caffeinates your semen. That's sobering fact number 4. So can you just like, I'm sorry. My mind goes to a place where it's like, you go and you give a sample and they're like, it looks kind of slow. And they pour a couple sips of coffee in. It's like, oh, that's better. That'll get it going.
I mean, all I could say is as much daily caffeine I have running through my body, then I probably could start my own little nation. Fuck it. I probably could even start my own planet at this point then, if that's true.
Well, if 4.4 million people can make, 180 million people or whatever we said, then I think you're good for at least 40,000 a year. That's better than God.
Oh, easily.
You just got to make.
Maybe they half Japanese.
Yeah, I mean, you would be busy. It would take a lot of coffee, but you could do it.
Just put an IV in me. I'll be good to go.
All right, so that was sobering facts. We're gonna skip. Actually, there is something I want to talk about. I'm gonna skip the over the part because I think I'm also being very sacrilegious, and while it's funny to me, maybe not to everybody, but apparently God needs to step it up. He's not pulling his weight in terms of impregnating women. But are you a fan of American Gods? Have you checked that out?
You know what? I haven't gotten to it yet, and I really want to because, as you know, you and I are both film buffs, so to speak, and we've both been able to dabble in that industry off and on the last several years. And initially, that first season was going to be filmed in Pittsburgh, but because the state dicked around with the film tax credit for so long, they wind up hightailing it up to Toronto, I believe. So that was about a $50 million production that the area lost out on. But everything I've heard and read about it, I mean, obviously Ian McShane is a stud. He has some of the greatest roles of all time between, I hear that, and Deadwood, and the stuff he does in John Wick. And but yeah, no, it's definitely on my list. It's a high priority to get to that, to definitely check out. So go ahead, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. You just got me excited because we started getting on the topics of films and TV.
How dare you be a guest on a show and actually want to talk?
It's your show, baby.
Hey, this is everybody's show. It's certainly not mine because
this is the people's show.
It's the people's show. Whatever you guys want, just hey, you guys talk. Okay.
I'd love to hear some of their opinions.
No, you wouldn't. Who cares? Who cares what anybody thinks? Who wants to make a program that people watch? That's stupid. It's like that's almost as dumb as dancing. Gravitas. We've forgotten. Oh my goodness.
You're definitely bringing gravitas to this show. Maybe the whole entire format.
I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, I don't know if there is any format. It's just, I'm always striving just to break the mold, and maybe I've break.
Better. It's best to go with the flow. Not to interrupt your flow, but Ma, where's the meatloaf?
Meatloaf required, and gravitas. Remember the time. I got a segment here called "Remember the Time," and I want to ask you if you remember this. Do you remember when we were at 311 Ralston Road? This is the last place I lived in Slippery Rock before I graduated and moved away. And we were talking about starting a supplement company with our friend Brian Harrington, longtime roommate and friend, who we love. And he was like really organized, and he's like, we got to buy this and do that. And there I was just trying to get drunk and pass out without getting laid like I always did. That was pretty much my MO at Slippery Rock. Do you remember that time?
I know that was one of many. I don't remember when the exact initial conversation started, but yeah, we touched upon that quite a few times. And I mean, if you think about it now, I mean, we both worked in together even in that industry as well too. But I mean, man, that's one of the things that makes me, one, like I said, to call you one of my best friends, but to bring a little emotional gravitas to the show, if you will, is that's one of the things I'm most proud of you about, is because look at what you've done here with Intox Detox. I mean, is it a bodybuilding supplement when we used to be jarheads and meatheads and want to pursue that avenue? But if you ask me, it's even better. Because, I mean, people are always going to drink and indulge and enjoy alcohol. It's a part of life. But you're also bringing a very major health aspect to that as well, too. It's a great balance. you know.
I definitely want to talk a little bit about supplements, but I mostly just wanted to ask you if you remembered that time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not trying to give you shameless promotional plugs, but yeah, I absolutely remember it.
I'll take all the promotional plugs I can get, but I wanted to let you know that I remember that time too.
Okay.
Second edition of Remember the Time.
Remember it.
Do you remember when someone broke into your place at Keister Apartments?
Yeah, you bastard.
Oh man, that's one of the greater stories I've ever been involved in, and I don't know if I want to tell it. But hey, let's move ahead, and I'm gonna come back to it. Okay.
Okay.
We'll give them something to look forward to.
Yeah, I look forward to rehashing that.
Yeah. Okay. This is another segment that I made up on the spot, but it's called Shower Thoughts, and I had a shower thought today, and actually. Brady's name is actually a perfect example of this. But have you ever seen these people's names that are like, and because I was kind of thinking about how I was going to make fun of myself for being a Bennett, and like I don't have like a pure Irish name. Like I'm not purely Irish, like in the sense of like I'm not Donnie McDonovan Quinn's Shaughnessy O'Brien, you know? Like I was thinking to myself, like, what is the most Irish name you can possibly think of that is just so over the top that it's just like. And I read a book recently, which I reviewed on one of the podcasts called Hungover, One Man's Quest for the Cure, the morning after One Man's Quest for the Cure. It was a good book. The guy's name is Shaughnessy Bishop Stahl. And I was like, this guy, like his parents are trying too hard. So what made me laugh out loud in the shower, this is shower thoughts. I thought of the name Mickey O'Shaughnessy McMacDonovan Quinn, you know, just like, the most Irish name you could possibly think of, and it's ridiculous. You know, it's one of those ridiculous thoughts you have in the shower. Moving on.
Pretty impressive.
Well, I mean, you know, I'm an impressive.
You need something else to do in the shower once in a while, so there you go.
You know what? You can only dispose of so much RAM in the shower. You know, every once in a while you have to use your brain too. But I want to move on to Drunk at the Movies because I think this is something that you're actually going to want to talk about. I want to review the film Glass.
Yeah.
Have you seen this movie?
I'm proud to admit I've already seen it 3 times.
3 times.
I saw it once by myself. I saw it once with a lady friend of mine, and I actually took my daughters to see it this week because it was PG-13. My oldest is now just turned 13. So I think I covered all the demographics, bases, what have you. Yes, I saw it 3 times.
I'm starting to feel like you like this film.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah. Because, I mean, if you've seen Unbreakable and Split, I mean.
I'm sorry because I love you, but I have to say, I was really bored for most of the film. I mean, I'm just like, I just couldn't get into it. I don't know why. Well,
that's M. Night's style, you know. I know he gets trashed and ripped for half the stuff that he does, but if you ask me, he has a very simplistic, you know, directional. And again, that's us being, you know, using being film buffs and whatnot. Is I will go see a movie no matter how terrible it is, based off of you know. If it's a certain director that I like, and he's one of the ones that you know I've always enjoyed seeing most of his stuff. You know.
Okay.
And David Fincher.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say a couple things. Number one. For the record, it's Glass, directed by M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong. I don't think anyone knows how to pronounce that man's name. I don't. I think I'll just call him Knight when I meet him.
I think that's good, yeah.
I think that's what you do. You just call him Knight. Good things. Here's my good things about the film. That young girl from Split is super hot. I mean, like, but hot in like all of her, everything's in the right place except for her eyes. Her eyes are like here and here. She looks like a hammerhead shark to me. No, she looks like a hot alien chick. That's what she looks like. And
okay,
which I'm into. You know, I'm into it. None of the women on this earth like me, so I'm looking somewhere. I got to go somewhere. You know, but you know,
As it is.
she's got that, but she's very pretty. I like
Yes,
her.
I agree.
B-dubs, Bruce Willis, can never go wrong. Guy for like his whole career is like, yeah, I'm balding, so what? I'm hot as shit. Y'all want to get with me, you know? I mean, he's like, I'm an action hero. Just, I like the way, I like in the film how he's this like brooding, I don't want to be a hero, but I am. And so I guess I'll be one just because I'm strong and I should be. Wait a second. That sounds like my life story. But I'm not unbreakable. I know that. I've broken some stuff. Mostly I break things, but sometimes things break me.
Well, I've known you've broken some things. I've witnessed that as well.
Yeah. McAvoy. McAvoy is outstanding.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. Never let my negative review of the film put a chink in McAvoy's armor, because he is amazing. To roll through all those characters the way that he does and to be believable. I do not like his Beast voice. It's like out of the Bane Batman rejects.
Right.
It's just, I don't like it. But it's very disturbing. I mean, I'm disturbed by it. So that works. And he's all over the place. He's amazing. I feel like my other criticism is that Samuel L. was underused in the film.
Yeah. And technically
half the movie he was like this.
Spoilers.
Of course, the amazing thing about him is that that's when he's figuring it all out and he's trying to figure out how to make it happen. So I did not know that you had seen the movie and that we would disagree, but I think there are a lot of things positive in it, and I think you're absolutely right. 50% of Mr. Knight's films are controversial because some of them just aren't good. Some of them are good and misunderstood, and some of them just aren't good. I mean, I agree. I have to say that.
No, I agree, 100%, 100%. And you know, again, to just give you a little quick cool story about it is I had a friend that actually worked on the production crew of Glass, and when I bumped into her, you know, how's it end? What's it about? You know, my most important thing was, okay, I'm going to give you a quick rundown, answer me these questions. And the first one was, what's Bruce Willis like? Because you hear like he's a notorious pain in the ass. You know, he's a diva and all that. She goes, he's a grumpy old man, but he was cool around me. And I said, all right, that's cool. It doesn't, you know, totally like ruin my childhood. I said, what's Samuel like? And she said, coolest motherfucker there is. Nice. He literally would wear fan-made T-shirts based off of his characters that he's done over the years onto set. And then obviously he would get in the wardrobe for that day. But she said, you know, really cool guy, loves his money. I didn't ask him about McAvoy, which probably was what I really wanted to know about, you know, as a fan or, you know, being selfish. But then I said, so what do you think? Is it going to be good? And her quote was, it's going to be good, but I don't like the ending. And I was like, that's it. No more, you know. So, but without giving anything away, I thought it was a suitable and fitting. Me personally, like I said, you gotta to the movies to suspension of disbelief, to be entertained, to have a good time, to forget about, you know, troubles in your real life in the real world. I really, really enjoyed it. I guess that's why I kept finding excuses to go back and see it. You know, like I said, upwards of 3 times already. So
here's what I would say, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no.
I think I went into it wrong because, you know, I enjoyed Unbreakable, I enjoyed Split, and I but Split was a very different film even than Unbreakable. Yes. Split was like suspense and like had like real defined protagonists, antagonists. I mean, like there's an evil man and there's innocent girls, you know, like that's like very clear.
Split could have been a standalone and it would have been fine.
I think, yeah, and it was. I mean, it was until now. I mean, but and I think that you know, this, if you reflect on the bigger picture of it, you see that, you know, it's about how blurring the line between comic book superheroes and real life. And I think that this movie does that. If you go into it expecting Infinity War, you're not gonna be happy. Yeah. And I think I went in expecting a little bit more of the suspense and conflict of Split. I know it's not Spider-Man, it's not Avengers, it's not that kind of comic book movie. But, you know, if you're trying to sort of say comic books are absurd in this way, life is absurd in this way, and this is where they meet, that's a different kind of thing.
It's art imitating life, vice versa.
And that's a more artistic film. My only criticism is this. People like me will go in looking for a comic book film and they'll walk away feeling they just watched The Bridges of Madison County with some weird characters, you know? And it's a character study of comic book characters, which is very interesting, but it's not what I don't think it's the way they marketed the film is kind of my thing. And you know, that's not something that, you know, film is film and not everyone always agrees, but I wanted to actually get into some personal issues. And we don't have much more. So if you've been like, oh, wow, this is so long, I can't hang in. Well, then you suck, number one. But number two, I don't have a number two. I just thought it sounded cool to have a number two. And number three, I don't have a number three. But you suck if you don't want to keep watching. So goodbye. Sail on down the line. Personal issues. We already talked about how we know each other. I want to skip to supplements because you started talking about supplements. And I want to talk about supplements, but not in a way where I promote my company constantly. I don't want to do that. I want to talk about them like why I love supplements, why I love working out. And let's talk about that. And I'm going to start by saying this. When I met Mr. Matt Donovan here, he was like the guy that was like big and strong and like bigger than me. And I was like, you know, you see somebody bigger than you and you're like, you secretly hate them. And you're like, I want to be big and strong too, but I'm not. So you have this like pissed off, like inner thing where you're just like, I want to beat them, but I don't want to tell them. And that was about the time we started working out. So together.
So I was Thanos to your Captain America, not to steal your thunder, but
you were what? Well, I missed the first one.
I was Thanos to your Captain America.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I was like, I got a cool shield that I throw, but like my arms don't look like that, you know? That's pretty accurate, right?
Yeah. It is.
But the other thing that was interesting is that I was young and full of dumb and stupid and special strength, and you were smarter, and you were trying to tell me like, don't do that, don't pick that up, that will hurt you, and I was like, no, it won't, no it don't, because I'm just dumb and I just pick stuff up, you know. It's like, and I never actually. So reflecting back on that, which is why I wanted to talk about working out, because I'm all about fitness and supplements to help people, you know, like things that can help other people to me are appealing, you know. I just always remember starting to work out and just, you know, I think the way I would define it is I was like a puppy on a leash that you were like, and I saw a female dog which was a weight, and I wanted to run, and you were like, wait, hold on, that's not good for you. Like, you know, and I didn't see that. And now I go into commercial gyms and, you know, I do my stuff and I'm very efficient and I do what I do. But I see young kids and I'm like, stop, don't do that. Like, but I can't, like, I wouldn't have listened to me at their age. But somehow you did actually do a good job of communicating some of the stuff. So here's the thing that I don't know that well. How did you get into training and supplements and stuff?
Training. I mean, I was a child of the 80s and 90s. So for me, it was the stereotypical. I saw Arnold. I saw Sly, and saw how they looked. Obviously, very naive at the time. I was a gym rat. That was probably the pebble that got dropped into my pond. You know, it is really that simple. And whatever, 20, 30 years go by, and you do the same thing probably the generation did before me, and which will probably do after me. Is if I knew then what I knew now, and there's things I would have done differently. There's still so much vast knowledge out there that I don't know. And even some of the stuff that you're talking about, what I don't even remember telling you, but I'm sure I did 20 years ago, just the way you describe it to me, I'm sitting there going, I didn't know shit 20 years ago. So probably what I did tell you, if it helped, great. I'm honored, but I, think I've evolved since then, and you always wish you could invent that flux capacitor to go back in time and do it all over again and do it better.
Just like you got a guest, an unexpected guest. I got the dog busted in, and I gotta go kick her out real quick. hold that thought. Talk more.
Talk more. Oh man. Well, I'm just gonna keep saying Gravitas so I can keep drinking on this fine Guinness. How about that?
That's perfect.
Gravitas.
Oh my gosh! You know what was great about that is that the dog actually revealed that I really do take off my pants, and that's real stuff. I mean,
hey man, this show's legit. If you do something, you say that you do it. It gets done.
It's real. It might not be good, but it's real.
That's
real.
Right. That's scripted. Completely.
Unscripted. we got moms flying in with pumpkin roll. We got dogs busting.
Where's the meatloaf?
Meatloaf, pumpkin roll, Gravitas. Put some Gravitas in that meatloaf. God damn it. Anyway, so what got me into training is completely different, and you kind of know this story, but I'm gonna make it as short as I can. But I was a soccer player, like you said, and I love soccer because one of the things I love about soccer that no one understands is that soccer to me is like, it's like poetry. It's like writing poetry with your feet. It's like moving. It's like anybody can catch a football. Anybody. I was gonna say anybody can hit a baseball, but I could never hit a baseball. So that's probably why I played soccer. But ultimately, it's like it's more about who you are. Like there's a lot of personality in soccer. Like a good soccer player is just like he's as much what he does as he is what he thinks and feels. And it's like you play with a lot of emotion. I know that millionaire babies catching footballs, that they play with emotion too. There is art in what they do. There is poetry in what they do. They do amazing things I could never do physically. And also just the way Tom Brady throws a football. I mean, come on. The guy wouldn't be doing this all this time if he wasn't amazing. But it's a very unique sport, and it's different, And I think that that's something that fits me. Clearly, I'm different, if that's not abundantly clear already. But I grew up playing soccer, and I was never big enough. So when I started playing soccer in college, I was in a small college in West Virginia, and for a year, I went to school at this tiny little school in West Virginia called Alderson Broaddus College. I love West Virginia, nothing bad about that. Tiny college, I played soccer there. Wasn't a great experience for me. That's why I transferred to Slippery Rock. Okay. But as soon as I got there, they were like, you're not big enough. You need to get bigger. and they're like, you need to start lifting weights. And I always thought lifting weights is like for meatheads, like stupid football players. And then my journey was, part of which was meeting you, was that, no, you have to actually be smart about how you can get big. Because if you're dumb about it and you just go, oh, I'm just going to inject myself with a bunch of roids and get huge, well, let me guess, in about 10 years, you're a fat fuck who's, just completely destroyed their body, if you don't do it right. And so there's it actually, the bigger point is, it takes a lot of brains to get big and strong the right way. And I think that you had an influence on me in that way. So whether you knew it or not, but that's kind of my journey. And then the supplement part of it is, a whole different thing. And, a lot of people think about me that I'm just this guy who likes drinking, so I built this career around drinking. Like that's partially true. No, it's not really what's going on. What's going on is that I like supplements that actually make an impact on people, that actually change stuff, here's a question for you. What was the first like real supplement that you took?
Oh man. I'd have to probably go as far back as maybe like senior in high school, probably some sort of horse pill, amino acid, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, I'm trying to think. I think the first one that I really took, like I had never taken protein. I never taken anything. Donovan, I went to college and I had only lifted on machines, like just because they made us, like I had no interest whatsoever. And then the aha moment for me was when they forced me to do it, and they were like, wow, you're actually kind of strong. And I was like, who, me? Like, I'm not anybody. I'm not a strong person. How could that be possible? And then I realized, like, lifting weights for like 60 seconds is a lot easier than running for 90 minutes in soccer. It was like you kind of discover your strengths. And anyway, but and I wasn't a freak of nature by any means, but my first was they were like, you got to take creatine.
Mm-hmm. That probably was the very first supplement I took in college was a form of creatine, for sure.
And what everybody said, like my mom was in the medical profession, and at that time, let's call it 98, 99 or something like that. There was a lot of like, people were like, oh, creatine is dangerous and stuff. Now, creatine is like a super nutrient. Like it helps people with Parkinson's and stuff like that. Like it helps counter neurodegenerative diseases, which is hard to say, even if you don't have a neurodegenerative disease. Maybe I do, but I take creatine. And it's actually like a super ingredient, and it's not just about lifting weights and getting big, but it does help with that, certainly. And I think when I first took that, what happened was I noticed an effect immediately. Did you find that when you took creatine?
Oh, absolutely. I think the first summer that I took it in college, I probably gained, a solid 15 pounds, what was muscle, what was water weight, probably a combination thereof. And I think too, like you said, we're finding out more and more about it as time's going on, but a lot of times too, because again, an opinion, the FDA in this country is a joke. They do, university tests, which these companies, pay for them to do, yada, yada. So I think now that time has passed and they have found out more beneficial uses for it, and it's come to light, it's like, oh, well, it actually does, like you said. They're not interested in making a better athlete. They're interested in general population, treating the disease or treating the condition. It's like, oh, wow, it's not just pharmaceuticals. It's not just chemicals. It's actually stuff that is already made in our body, So I think that's, it's to the point where it's finally gotten to, because would you have heard 20 years ago that creatine could possibly, aid in helping somebody with, like you said, a neurodegenerative disease? No. Everything was, the athletes or sports supplementation, you're the guinea pig. It's bad for you. It's bad for you. It's steroids. It's performance enhancing drugs. Da 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 da. But then, like I said, over time, now you start to see the benefits of it.
For me, I'm going to say this. I think there's a lot of parties in the country have a lot of agendas. Okay, that's obvious. That's clear. But let's strip away all the money, all the lobbyists, all the bullshit. People like me and you. I was a kid, and I actually was told I need to get bigger or stronger, or I'm not going to be able to start on the soccer team. And that was the one thing that I thought I was good at in life up to that point. And so for me, I was like, this creatine is magical, because I almost instantly was stronger and bigger. And so, so of course you're going to say anything that works that well, that's that good, must be bad for you. So I understand. But now, we've gone all these years, and as you say, like the science has come in, like nobody's saying that anymore. But in the grander picture, there's a lot of people that want you to think a lot of things that aren't true. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the guy who packaged, like I brought my creatine, just to give an example, but like the guy who packaged this, it's a big corporation, but ultimately they started to make that product to help someone like me. I got a hold of it and it helped me. And that is what I like about the supplement industry, is that like real stuff that helps real people. Like caffeine is a perfect example. I love when people say supplements don't work. I'm like, caffeine is, you call it a drug, but all supplements are drugs. Everything's a drug. Like, it's anything that goes into your body is a drug. That's just a word for something. Ultimately there's controlled drugs and uncontrolled drugs. Vitamin C is a drug. Everything's a drug. It's all a drug. It's just a word. But ultimately, you want to create a result, and the result either happens or doesn't. Well, caffeine is the best example. No one would deny caffeine works. It just does. It's one of the world's oldest supplements. Guess what else is? It just works. Irish guys drink enough of this and they start dancing, and they make out with girls in truck beds. It works.
Right. You start dancing good.
They start dancing not good.
Gravitas.
They're dancing with Gravitas, and people are like, it's not good, but it's got Gravitas. So let's roll with it. And next thing you know, you're in a truck bed, making out with a girl. Anyway, that is the end result. You want the supplement to do something. And there are very few supplements in the world that actually deliver the result. And interesting subject, because, we were told all throughout when we were working out together, reading all the bodybuilding magazines and all the stuff, when that was a thing, before it was all just like digital, now there's like, who buys a muscle mag anymore? Like, come on, like, what is that? Look it up online. But we were told that protein, here's a question. Is protein anabolic?
It depends.
That is the right answer. But what would 99% of personal trainers say? Yeah, protein's anabolic. Yeah. I love a guy named Brad Pilon who has a book called Eat, Stop, Eat. And he's like, protein is only sometimes anabolic. You know what makes protein anabolic?
Do go on.
Working out. Protein does not become anabolic until you have created anabolic signaling in your body by working out.
Right.
And so people used to come when I worked because I worked at GNC with you in Pittsburgh.
What kind of GNC you work at?
What's that?
The people used to come?
What's that?
What kind of GNC did you work at?
The one in Pittsburgh with you for a brief time.
No, but you said people just used to come, and it's just coming everywhere. I mean.
Yeah, people. Yeah, the pump. It's like, I'm coming every day. No, but you know, like when people used to come into GNC and Vitamin Shop, and they would ask, like, what's better, creatine or protein? And what was I programmed to tell them?
What was better? Probably creatine in terms of performance.
Well, that's the right answer, but you would always say protein, because protein you gotta have protein. You gotta have protein. You can't make muscle without protein. It's not true. Actually, creatine is more anabolic than protein. It's hard to believe, but it's true, because it creates an anabolic signal that protein is not required for. The protein is just needed after the fact to repair the muscle. That's it. I mean, like and it's the basically the protein only creates anabolism through working out. But I don't want to get too much into the weeds of all of that. But ultimately, you know, the goal is to take supplements that actually work. And there's a handful of them in the world. I got a few other examples that I thought I would share. Is you know, the liver supplement milk thistle.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not it's not in our product, but it's a very good supplement, and it actually works. And there's a lot of real good research behind that. And you know, so it's not just trying to sell our stuff. It's talking about things that actually really work in the real world, and that is one of them. Another one is you know, there's a lot of. Have you ever had any CBD oil or hemp oil at all?
That's what's in this little pen right here.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. I've been using this. Well, actually, I've been off and on with CBD for the past couple of years, and then we actually just had a shop open up right down the street. I've gotten to be very friendly, business-like friendly, if you will, with the owner. So same thing. It's just, you know, I want to learn more about it, the benefits, how to get the most of it. You know, even, I mean, still, you know, be economical enough to fit into my budget. And I've just started using this within the past couple of days. So it's now I feel like I kind of fit in too, you know, because everything in the world is about vaping, you know, vaping weed, vaping nicotine. And you know, for me, this is helping me recover from, you know, a hard workout, or if I have a stressful day, or is it end all be all? No, but yeah. And it's the same thing. There's the skepticism about it. And then if we're alive 10, 20 years from now, we'll hopefully hear the good benefits that have come from it. You know, it's a derivative of marijuana or weed or whatever. And what was that when we were growing up? You know, if you smoke that, you're a bad person, or you're a drug addict or stuff like that. Now it's, you know, I state that all the time to those close to me. If I ever get some form of terminal cancer, get me marijuana, maybe a shot of morphine, obviously a few Guinness, and I'm going to call it a life, because I want to go out as comfortable as possible.
Yeah, and the conversation that's accurate that I don't want to have is, you know, there are drugs that are harmful, and you could certainly argue that alcohol is more harmful than other things, or certain things are controlled and certain things aren't. But you know, it's more about the gathering research behind CBD, and a lot of people just equate CBD with marijuana, which is not at all true. I mean, it's not even. Right. It
doesn't have a THC in it.
If you go purely to, I have a hemp oil product that I like. That's this hemp fusion.
Okay.
That's a way to get it's smaller amounts. It's not super concentrated, but you know, they're doing their part to try to legitimize it by saying, look, this is not, you know, there's a place for medical marijuana, there's a place for recreational, and then there's a place for hemp extract or CBD. CBD, the cheapest way to extract it is from hemp. Hemp has a lot more CBD than actually cannabis does, and so it's actually expensive to take it out of the marijuana plant as opposed to hemp. Or there's also my supplement research guy that's like my go-to guy if I ever want to know about anything. His name's Jeff Palmer. He's the guy that owns that Clean Machine company that we've.
Yeah, I tried one of his products probably about a year and a half ago. Oh man, a Cell Block, right?
Cell Block 80, yeah.
You recommended that to me. I tried a bottle of it, and you know, didn't turn me into Superman, but it definitely did something. Yeah, something I should look into again.
I mean, he's actually a mentor, and he specializes in creating products that actually do what they're supposed to do, and that's kind of, again, the point of the whole thing. I mean, if we just want to create endless fat burners and protein powders and muscle pills and sell them to idiots, like, anybody can do that. Like, that's where you make your money. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you want something that actually does something. So yeah, I'm a big believer in his stuff. But we were talking about CBD. It's a shame because he's like, the FDA is having such a hard time with CBD that they're trying to keep us all kind of out of the market, and it's one of these things. I mean, it's very risky to get involved with from a business perspective because you don't know which way it's going to go. I mean, there are people that have invested millions. I actually know there's a good company that you might like. It's called My CBD Edibles. They have like coffee with CBD oil in it.
Okay.
It's a guy I've made friends with. Yeah, make a note. It's a guy I've made friends with. His name's Carlos. He's really super cool. He has a podcast, which is probably way better than this, but certainly has a lot more subscribers. But he's a libertarian. He's like right out of my playbook. But anyway, they've got a company and they've got so much money in it, and it's great. The products are great. Everything's great. But man, if the FDA or the DEA or somebody steps up and just decides we're going to take this all away, I mean, you got no recourse. The government can just shut you down. I mean,
right.
That's the thing about, you need to watch out for with stuff like that. But ultimately, from a consumer perspective, the CBD oil is awesome. I mean, it's something that my first encounter with it was at a trade show, which with Intox Detox, they do a bunch of trade shows, and a guy gave me a sample because I had mentioned that I think that I got Lyme disease, and I have some inflammation and a little bit of pain that's going on, which that's ongoing, but it's the CBD oil is excellent for it. I mean, it almost completely makes it go away.
Wow.
Yeah, in very small doses. So that's why I bought this product, because it really does seem to help. And ultimately, my supplement journey has been finding stuff that works, and ultimately that's what our company has done, is something that works and trying to get it out there. So I got a little bit more fun of a thing for you, and this is called This or That.
This or that?
This or that. I'm just going to
get with this, or you could get with that.
Exactly. Except I'm going to give you two very specific options, and then you tell me which one you prefer. Okay?
Okay.
Let's see. Cider or beer?
Cider or beer?
Yeah.
Well,
It's a tough one. It's a tough one.
It is, because I've tried some ciders, and all right. I'll go with the cider on this one.
I like that answer. Dog or cat?
Oh, man. Up until probably a year ago, I would have said dog. But a friend of mine, I've been able to become fond of cats. As long as it's not a cat I'm allergic to. I'm real allergic to calico cats. But I'll still, all right, ultimately, I'll still lean towards the dog. Man's best friend.
I have to agree with you. SRU or Pitt?
All right, really, dude?
Gotta make it hard. Gotta make it hard.
Come on. I mock people from Pitt.
Oh, I thought that would be a hard one for you. I don't know.
Nope.
No, easy. Okay, George Washington or Thomas Jefferson?
The schools or the presidents?
Presidents, the people.
We'll go GW.
They're both Virginians. It's hard for me. I actually the me that was working out with you in the weight room goes GW. The me that writes the right stuff goes TJ.
Okay.
But Patriots or Steelers? Easy one.
Oh man, honestly, after these past couple of seasons, I mean, at the sound of probably being lynched when I walk out of this house, I'm going to go with the Browns.
The Browns? All right. Every once in a while, I like a write-in. How about Patriots or Redskins?
See, in that aspect, that's where we're gonna differ. I mean, I know where your loyalty lies, but I'd have to go with the Patriots. They got better looking uniforms.
Ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch.
Coke or Pepsi?
Neither. Well, all right. Now this was my stepdad that passed away years ago. He worked for them for a number of years, so I don't know if you could see that.
I can see it.
That's clearly Pepsi. Clearly Pepsi.
All right. And along those lines, pop or soda?
From Pittsburgh, you have to say pop.
In Virginia, if you say pop, they
Say soda.
You
must be from the north.
You get lynched. You can't say pop down here.
Yankee.
Can't say lynch down here either. Jenny McCarthy or Melissa McCarthy?
Who?
Jenny McCarthy or Melissa McCarthy?
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Who? Either one of them? No.
You don't know.
That's how relevant I feel either one of them are. Okay, we'll go with Jenny 10 years ago. Can I do that? Nah, she's still probably with it.
She's all right.
Yeah, I'll go Jenny.
All right. Fries or onion rings?
It's been a while, but I could go for some onion rings.
Yeah. The reason I put that in there is because I always remember in Pittsburgh, it's unique to Pittsburgh that, you get like a steak salad, which, if you're into trying to stay trim and eat a lot of protein the way that the bodybuilding magazines used to program us to do, you get a steak salad, but they just throw a couple French fries on there.
Yeah.
It's a Pittsburgh thing, which is.
It is. I'm sorry, man. You would think, having lived here, majority of my life, that I would be. I'm not as loyal in that regard as I am to my family heritage. I'm not into that. I would always say hold the fries, but yeah, well, I definitely onion rings. But you're right. It's same thing. Ranch is requested with a lot of pizza orders because people like to dip their pizza in ranch up here. I don't know if that's also a Pittsburgh thing. It seems like it is.
I mean, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna dip your pizza in ranch, I mean, you might as well light a cigarette and just go full bore. Pour yourself a 6 fingers of scotch and just enjoy your life.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't know. It would be rare that I would go that far, but you got it. Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you have to.
Yep.
You got to enjoy your life.
Put a little hot sauce in there and mix it up. That's kind of tasty.
All right, so we're almost done. Sons or daughters?
Come on.
Yeah, we both have daughters.
We all have, yeah.
It's obvious. Or I have daughter, and I have daughter that is not of my exact sperm, but she's become a daughter to me because I'm close with her, and I know you have your two, and
yes,
I'm sure.
The lights of our lives, man.
It's gives you a reason to
keep breathing.
What?
To keep breathing.
Well,
keep working and keep breathing.
breathing is one part, yeah. But I think
the other.
More in a when you have downtimes, more in like a spiritual sense, and I'm not trying to be, whatever, but I'm just it gives you a reason to hold on, to believe, to want to do, for them, and to show them, even if the world's not like great to you or hasn't been your whole life, you want to make it better for them, and
I agree.
That sounds so like pretentious kumbaya, but it's actually the way you feel when you have kids. I mean, I never understood that for a long time, and then you become that cliche, and you live in it, and you just enjoy it. So I want to move on. There's one thing that is always a big thing, and that is, for me, the shot of truth. I gotta leave some blood on the battlefield. I don't always love it. It doesn't always make me feel great, but luckily I got the Intox Detox. And so my shot of truth today, look at this little goblet I got.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's probably Peter Dinklage's from Game of Thrones, huh?
Yeah. Now you're making me feel like the mountain, like I'm a giant. I'm just.
I love it.
Hey, he drinks and he knows things. It must be easy when you drink from a baby goblet like this. That guy is awesome, by the way. He's Icelandic. Have you ever learned about him?
The mountain?
Yeah.
I've seen a few things about him here and there, but
interesting fun fact: he is a monster.
Oh yeah.
He gets destroyed in strongman by guys much smaller than him.
I mean,
for one thing,
it doesn't always matter, you know.
For one, well,
I saw a video of him like kind of half-ass sparring with Conor McGregor, and
really?
I mean, if he got a hold of him, he'd squash him like a bug. But
I mean, I think Conor McGregor's jab lands about right in his kneecap, right?
Probably.
Yeah, something like that. Probably more like groin. Maybe that's how he beat him. But he actually there was that guy, and totally derailing, but there was that guy, the English powerlifter. Can't remember the name of the thing, but he was one of the first guys to pull over 1,000 pounds deadlift.
I remember you telling me about him. The name escapes me, but
he quit.
Was that the one? Yes, the second he hit 1,000 pounds.
I think
I was telling a good friend of mine that's a gym owner that has a Olympic weightlifting team, and I did. I couldn't remember the name, but I told him that story, and
that guy is, and I've always thought that the deadlift is a balls exercise. It's not a strength exercise. You have to be strong to pull weight, but it's more about how much spunk do you have in you, because and one wrong move with that kind of poundage and you're just
you're spitting your discs out your butt crack.
It's crazy. But my point was he's much more diminutive man than the mountain, and the mountain can do that.
Yeah.
The mountain's probably pulling over 800, but I don't think he's doing 1,000, especially with his height. How far down does he have to reach?
Yeah, just say. I mean,
he's
like gravity.
Isn't he like seven-ish foot tall, or maybe over? I have no clue. I think he's like 6'8".
I don't know. Yeah, he's got to be like a 6'8", 6'10" type of guy.
But also built like, I was going to say Ronnie Coleman, but not that. I mean, built like a monster, Nobody's Ronnie Coleman. Did I tell you about the time that I actually saw Jay Cutler in person?
No, not in person. I actually met him, had pictures with him once at a bodybuilding show years ago. But, I mean, did you actually get to conversate with him?
Very briefly. I mean, like he was – it's one of those things when they're at expos and they're just like,
Yeah.
He didn't seem like
– for an autograph, kid. Here you go. Get out the way. Who's next? It
was toward the end of the day, but I was just like, man, I was looking at him, and he's the same height as basically. What are you? Like, you're a little taller than me. How tall are you?
Hey, 5'11" on a good day.
Yeah, I mean that's me. So we're about the same, but he's our height.
Okay, which is kind of tall if you think about it. For I mean, you remember Lee Priest? He was a dwarf.
Yeah,
massive.
Well, both Ronnie and Jay, arguably two of the best ever, are about our height.
Right.
To carry that much mass, he just looked uncomfortable. He did not look happy, and I know he had a lot of joint problems, and Ronnie's joint problems have been legendary. I mean, he got double hip replacement.
Yeah, you saw the Netflix on him. It's amazing. You see some of them, I mean, and I know Dorian Yates, he really changed up his physique once he finished up. I saw him on a Joe Rogan podcast, but that was one of the things, obviously, that he came right out and stated. His joints, just uncomfortable. I mean, look at those guys, man. Whether you're on season or off season, you're like a walking, talking water balloon,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you could be comfortable in that. you know?
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I can say this very honestly. I've never used any like legit steroid, but like there was a one point at which when I was the biggest I think I ever was, I was like 230, and I didn't feel well. Like I didn't like I felt I was big and I was strong, but I just didn't feel that good.
No, I agree. I agree. We've both fluctuated throughout the years, and I noticed. Now, I mean, it's not once you figure it out, not totally figured out, but once you get some experience and have a better understanding. I mean, I still think I got about maybe 10, 15 to lose, but I know when I come down, I feel much more comfortable, much more.
I think most guys would rather look like Jason Statham than Ronnie Coleman, you know, and like
right.
So, and that's
I actually had that comparison thrown at me once in a while when I don't have my beanie on. I'll take that any day of the week.
That's another. He's a sexy, fit, balding guy like I am and like Bruce Willis is. So there's nothing to be ashamed of. But I was gonna get to my shot of truth, and as I said, I want to leave some blood on the battlefield. So I'm gonna do the thing I fear most, which is I'm actually going to jump right over the JAMA and I'm going to do my the clear bottle, the Irish moonshine.
Oh, wow. Oh, you got moonshine? Oh, I have a bit from behind the bar as well. You see that?
Oh, look at that. What kind is it? Is it
pumpkin pie?
Pumpkin pie.
Yeah.
Mine is actually the stuff my cousins brought over from Ireland for us, and I have a healthy fear and respect for it, but that's gonna be our shot of truth. We're gonna do a drunk quote, and then we're gonna do shot of truth.
Sounds good to me.
So I think the shot will hold off, and the drunk quote, we'll just do a little toast with Gravitas. And so the drunk quote I will read to you. When I read about the evils of drinking, I gave up reading. That's by Henny Youngman. No idea who that is. But again, when I read about the evils of drinking, I gave up reading.
I've seen that quite a bit lately.
Have you?
That's been making its rounds on social media, and you know, aside from yourself, you know, this is not the first place I've seen this. Very recently, you know.
I actually I had never seen it, and I tend to like frequent these kinds of quotes because I'm doing this show, and you know, I'm interested. You always
find something unique that you pull out. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something fun to add to it. You know, I think that one of the things about a good quote is, especially a toast or a drinking quote, is that, you know, you get to a party and you don't remember where you heard it, but you got something. You know, you want something in the chamber, you know, in case you get in that situation. So I'm gonna let you do the honors on the shot of truth. You can deliver your shot of truth, and I will fear this shot that I have to take. This is Donovan's shot of truth.
So, let me think on this. I shouldn't have to, but
you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make it easy for you. Not easy. It's still gonna be hard, but I'm gonna stall for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna deliver the true story about the who broke into your apartment at Keystone Apartments.
Perfect timing.
That will be my shot of truth.
Okay.
So that story was actually hilarious because, as I alluded, I was not afraid of a few beers at Slippery Rock University, where we went to college. And
before breakfast, even.
What time is breakfast? I have no. Is that
whenever Camelot opens.
Does Camelot ever close?
I don't think it does.
Yeah, that's the bigger question. So anyway, as I would do, I had some drinks. I decided to take a jog to Casey Conroy's house.
Okay.
You didn't hear this part before?
No.
Oh
Okay,
yeah, I ran to Casey's house.
Okay.
Yeah, we were dating at the time,
Right.
and she'll never see this. Don't worry. And I ran all the way from Cornish
Yeah.
to Keister because she lived there at the time. Remember?
Right. Yep.
And I was there, and I was calling her on my phone, like my flippy phone. Actually, I don't even think they were flippy at that point. They were just like the little brick. So I got the little brick, and I'm calling her, and she's not answering. I'm like, oh, man. I'm like, there's no way I can go back. Like, I don't have any way to get back. It's impossible. Like, I basically
You're one of your lazy modes.
Well, I expended, like, all of my energy getting there, you know? And I'm sure I had some pure purpose. Like, I wanted to be like, I love you and you're special. I'm sure it wasn't like I'm just looking for a hookup, because that's just not my MO, you know. But
Right.
It probably should have been, but it wasn't. And anyway, so I'm wandering around Keister Apartments, and I'm like, Donovan lives right there, but your door is locked. And I'm banging and I'm banging and I'm banging, and your door is locked. And I'm like, I can't get in. I got nowhere to sleep. I don't know where to go. Casey won't call me back. What do I do? This was probably about when I'm like, 210, 215, probably bigger than I am now. I dropped my shoulder in your door. I broke your door open. I broke right in.
Wow.
And the funniest thing about that story is that Tick is asleep on the couch, and he didn't wake up. I must have knocked for like 10 minutes, and he didn't wake up. I dropped my shoulder in your door, broke it wide open, and he didn't wake up. What's the statute of limitations on a B&E in Pennsylvania, by the way?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's long since gone then, but one, that doesn't shock me with Tick. Two, if you really wanted to, you probably could have killed him in his sleep, and he would have never known the difference either. So that's – no, I didn't know that. I knew that you had been in there. I assumed – or I expected something, but yeah, I didn't know necessarily how you got in there.
Well, the funniest thing was the next day, you came over, and like I had whatever, sobered or not, whatever I was doing, and I'm sitting there, and you're like, you're like this guy broke into our place over at Keister, and I'm like, what? That is shocking. I'm like,
you son of a bitch.
and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, are there security cameras? And you're like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm sweating bullets. I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, they're going to hate me. Like, I'm going to go to jail. I'm going to get fined. I'm not going to go to jail. Let's face it. Slippery Rock. They know it. They know what to expect. But, and you're like, yeah, it's really weird. It's like, he was wearing like some red sweatshirt, but they couldn't see his face. And I'm like, they couldn't see his face. That sucks. I mean, like, you really want to get that guy, right? I mean, he's clearly a bad guy. You gotta.
Wow. I have no recollection of that at all.
Yeah, we actually had a conversation about it, and I was really freaked out that people were going to figure out that it was me. It was just the most irrational, stupid thing, but you know.
That was the time in our lives, though. It was the time of our lives.
I would never want to go back to a time like that ever. But, you know, to have survived it and be able to tell the story now, that is my shot of truth. That actually happened. And
wow. No, that I didn't know. It's good to know. I respect you now for telling me, allowing me to know it. But it could always be worse.
Absolutely. There's one thing about me. It's that I have goals, and if you put a locked door in front of me,
you're going to put your shoulder to it.
Well, it might not be my shoulder. I would prefer to figure out a less impactful solution on my rotator cuff these days. But
yeah, maybe learn to pick a lock.
A 23-year-old me, there's no saying what he will do.
Now, you think of it now that we've aged and we think back to that time, like, oh, 22, 23, 25 years old, whatever, and you think like you're a grown-ass man. You know, ultimately, you're still just a pup, and you don't know, and you haven't experienced shit.
Well, hey, wait till we're 80.
We live to see it.
Well, you know, if I get there, I'll just be like, here I am.
Yeah, well, if we live to see it, hopefully we're still able to, you know, function
Hey,
as well as we are now.
When I get to that age, I'll just do the podcast completely naked.
Oh, yeah, why not? Why not?
All right, buddy. You got a shot of truth?
Yeah, I do. I listen to that. But I mean, literally, I think shot of truth. Like I said, you're very upfront, even though it may be 20 years too late. But no, for the most part, our personalities we're very like upfront and truthful. You know, tell you what's on your mind and that sort of thing. And you know what I've come to know at this point in my life, I think we all always did and always have, but you just kind of learn to accept it a little bit more. I mean, everybody wants to be, you know, on the top of the pyramid, wants, you know, fame, fortune, money, you know, you name it, the best of everything. And then you realize, like, I mean, you got a little bit. Oh, okay. Oh man, I'm down to my last sip. But life's a roller coaster, man. You know, so might as well just get on it and hang on for the ride and enjoy it and see where it goes.
I think that's a really excellent shot of truth, because one of the things about me is that you always expect the way things are going to go, but turns out, you know, John Lennon said, you know, life is what happens while you're waiting for something else, you know.
Right.
And
right.
I feel that strongly. It's a goddamn roller coaster. Put your hands up. Do a shot of truth with us. That's 2 pretty money shots of truth for me and Donovan. And let's stop stalling and just get it done. My tiny little goblet here. Let's do it. Cheers.
Cheers. Salante.
I want you to see my face as I absorb the magnitude of what I just swallowed.
I should have broke out my phone, taken a picture of it.
Yeah, no. I mean, you know, I mean, I've done heavy deadlifts where I didn't make that face before, but okay, which puts me on. I did want to ask you this. What is your most proud, like, personal best, like, lifting that you ever had? I was curious.
I think, was it 4? I mean, it's been that long that I kind of fail to remember. I was never a big bencher.
Either. Bench is the worst for me.
It wasn't, just for some reason. And it's probably going to sound puny in terms of general numbers to compare, but you know, I wasn't a competitive power lifter, and I think like 280 was probably the highest. I never cracked 300. You know, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. I mean, I tried it, and I just said reality set in. But I think as far as benching, that was as high as I went. Now, same thing. It was kind of like, I feel like Barry Bonds. You know, like here's my personal accomplishments with an asterisk. You know, even when I squatted, when I was at my height training / you know, strength coach, so I was like perpetual daily guinea pig. I think I hit 500, but it was a little more than half a squat. I wouldn't even honestly, you know, call it a 3/4 or full squat. So I hit 500 on that. So that's what I would say. And deadlift, that's where you always blew me away. I just never had the you know, the joints just never allowed me. No, and I tried sumo, I tried regular, you know, I tried training for it. I was never a big deadlifter. Never. I think maybe 330, something like that, 340 abouts was probably my all-time in the deadlift. It just wasn't me.
But see, you had like you had some lower back issues, I know.
Yeah.
And I'm not making excuses for you. I mean, like, you know,
No, it is what it is.
You own your numbers. I was never good at bench press either. Like, my shoulders have always sucked for, like, I have a rotator cuff issue I know it's not torn, but it's definitely frayed. Like, you know, you can fray it, but not tear it. And it causes you pain and inflammation. I mean, I almost do no pressing at all, but anyway, I just find it interesting because, you know, we're all humans and we all have limitations and we all have strengths and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I always loved deadlift. You know, the reason I actually loved it is because, which speaks a lot to my personality, because it didn't hurt me for whatever reason. I was blessed in that way that my knees and my back are not a problem for me.
Right.
Which are the main places that people have problems with deadlift, in my opinion. Right. I mean, you know, your elbows aren't going to, like, that's not going to be a problem for that. Maybe for bench, but for me, because I always knew it was a guts exercise, and I was like, look, I got guts. Like, I will stand up. I'll pick this weight up. There's no doubt about it. I might break doing it, and that's the stupid part. That's when you're young and stupid. But
yeah.
You know,
I think that's probably what probably limited me in a bit of a mature manner, or, you know, I consider myself a late bloomer, slow learner to begin with, but I think that's something I definitely caught on very quickly to, because I was having these issues at such a young age, but it wasn't going to stop me from training and trying to, you know, achieve my, you know, physical best. But it's still, you watch some of these competitions and you see these guys, like, they'll snap something, you know, trying to do a PR. And I would never go beyond that. I knew when I was at my brink, and I'm like, and I still would, you know, probably tweak something or hurt something, but not to, you know, the difference as when you hurt something and how that pain feels, as opposed to when you have injured yourself.
Totally.
That, you know, and I never injured myself, you know?
Yeah. And I kind of,
you know, had to swallow my pride, and as much as a prideful person I am, to say that, well, this is it, you know. But then, like you said, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, where you or Tick or somebody, you know, might have bested me in one area. You know, I might have been able to have you guys in another area. I mean, it was all in good fun. It was camaraderie. It pushed me to, you know, try and achieve something that I didn't have because you had it, and I'm sure I was, you know, able to do a little bit of the same too. I mean, that was a fun thing about it.
Just to kind of put a period on it, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, I was the Donovan to my friend Kobe, and I was always like bigger and stronger and all these things, but man, he made so much progress working out with me.
Yeah,
and I tried to be to him what I think you are to me, which is like, don't worry about what you're lifting. Just worry about, like, the fact, number one, that you're doing it. Number two, that, like, how you do it is actually important. Of course, I ignored most of that until I got older. But like, I educated him, and, like, you know, he went from, like, he's a scrawny little guy. That's who he is. You know, he's the definition of ectomorph. He's a small guy. And very endurance-oriented muscles, and yet, you know, the progress he made, and people started calling him Super Kobe. They're like, "Who is this Super Kobe?" You know, and he it's like a nickname that we embraced. That when we worked out together, he was Super Kobe. But using the principles that I had learned, and just with me telling him, "Man, don't worry about the numbers. You know, your muscles don't know numbers; they just know challenge." And make the challenge ever greater without breaking your joints. That's the point of lifting. I know we've been very lifting centric. I got the phone ringing, but it's a live program. We've been very lifting centric, but you know, it's the time we spent lifting has actually framed most of my life. That I feel like anytime I need to learn something new, or I need to do something that's challenging, nothing is as scary as lining up to, like, a 500-pound deadlift or squat. I mean, nothing you could face in your world, you know, if it's a new job, if it's swallowing your pride, if it's girls you dated or your daughters or challenges you have in life, put 500 pounds on your back and sit down and get back up. I mean, like, you know, I don't want to make life so simple, but it's like at some point you need to do something, and developing a pattern of challenging yourself in life, I think, is a good thing. Everybody does it in different ways. You don't have to lift weights. You don't have to write poems or scripts or any of the things I've done. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do, but find a way to challenge yourself and make, you know, your life fulfilling in some way. I mean, you know, you got to fill your time with something, you know. So
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, same thing. I mean, we've gone on to epic proportions, like almost like I said, but, you know,
I don't even care. Screw these people.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I could do this all day, but everybody, it's the same thing. I think it's just what is popular in society. You know, mixed martial arts, a lot of people, well, if you do mixed martial arts, then you know, you're able to overcome any kind of obstacle, challenge. I mean, find what works for you. You know, if it's mixed martial arts, for us, it was weightlifting. To get through, you know, like you said, it could even be life's daily challenges, getting out of bed sometimes, you know, dealing with, you know, just a work situation or, you know, just being in a general miserable mood, or your kids or, you know, whatever. But yeah, find something. But I think that's where the common ground is too. It has to be something physical, you know. And like when I went and had an opportunity to do some work in physical education and become certified as a teacher, I'm thinking, man, this is chump change comparison to what I've already learned from being, you know, to lifting, you know, being a strength coach, being involved in different facets of fitness and all that stuff. Because I mean, you can't be physical if this doesn't tell you to do it physically to begin with. You know, there's always that preconceived notion, physical education, you got to do work in the gym. No, well, you know, none of that happens. One foot doesn't go in front of the other, you know, if the brain doesn't tell it to. You know, just because you're not consciously thinking of it. And one's interchangeable and involved together with the other, yada, 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 you know, big philosophy, big ending. You know, I mean, ultimately that's what it comes down to, man. It's just finding your balance and finding your flow. And like you said, for some people, maybe it is they're just more. That's just how they're wired. You know, the nervous system's wired to be more artistically inclined or musically inclined to, you know, how you and I are like physically inclined. You know, I just think over the course of this lifespan, however much longer it's going to last, you know where your basis is and your foundation. But it's cool to like expand and broaden your horizons a bit, you know.
I couldn't agree more. And let me do this real quick. I'm gonna close out and with one thought, and then but we're not gonna hang up. We're just gonna these guys are gonna go away. And but
probably like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, stop talking. And I want to be sympathetic to that, but also epic recording, first guest, incredible. I wanted to just briefly say that I think ultimately, if we had to sum up the whole thing, it's like, you know, you want to be a Renaissance man or woman. You want to develop your mind and your body and everything to the point that you're comfortable with, because it's your life. I mean, like, I don't want to be Ronnie Coleman, and I don't think you ever wanted to be either, you know, and I also don't want to be Stephen Hawking, you know, like I have to be me.
You have to be Andy Bennett. Yeah.
I gotta be me. And it's a challenging thing day to day, but you surround yourself with good people. They turn you into things that maybe you didn't know you were going to be, you know, like I didn't know I was going to be into working out. I didn't know I was going to shave my legs and do a bodybuilding contest. That's weird to the normal people, you know, but you know, you push your limits and you do these things. And I think that just the idea of being a Renaissance man and being the whole package in life that's our goal, you know, is to get to there to where like you're the whole package. When you meet someone and they know nothing about you and they're like, what's your story? And you're like, how much time you got?
Exactly.
Because I got a whopper for you. A whopper. And I think if you can be, I feel like I can do that now at almost 40. imagine me at 60 or 80 or whatever the hell I'm going to get to. Man, if you ever ask me my life story, I'm going to deliver something of quality, and you're going to walk away satisfied. Yeah. And not just for doing crazy stuff and being drunk and being stupid, but for having some level of integrity that I'm comfortable with and trying to achieve my goals in life. So that's all I got to say. And I'm gonna let you finish out. And before I say goodbye, just do your thing with Gravitas.
Cheers. Salante. It's been great, man. I'm so honored to have been your first guest. And like I said, there's definitely some brighter days on the horizon for both of us. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person. This was great. This is so cool. But looking forward to getting you up here or getting down there to see you and creating some news stories.
We will absolutely do this in person. And also don't hang out. I mean, hang out. Don't go. Yeah, absolutely incredible. First interview. I don't think anybody can actually stand up to you as a guest, but that's my personal opinion because I'm emotionally.
With the first one, there's nowhere to go but up.
There's nowhere to go but up. But we set the bar pretty high. I mean,
hopefully, I tried.
no, it was great, Donovan, man. I love you. Thank you so much.
Definitely, I love you too. Thank you so much.
That has actually watched all this, which it's my show. Like, whatever, do your thing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you at the bar. Don't forget to put your pants back on before you go to the bar. That's important. That shit will get you arrested. Love you guys that watched, and I'll see you soon. Bye.